Have you ever lost everything in a single day? Your wealth, your loved ones, your health. Gone in an instant? This is a story of a man who faced unimaginable suffering, yet refused to turn away from his faith. A man tested beyond limits, surrounded by doubt, yet holding on to hope. And this is the story of Job. Job was a man of great wealth and prosperity, living in the land of Uz. Among all the men in the East, he was the richest. His blessings were abundant. 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 donkeys, and many servants at his command. But beyond his riches, he had something even greater, a beautiful family. 7 strong sons and 3 beloved daughters. Job was a man who feared God and turned away from evil. When his sons hosted feasts in their homes and invited their sisters to join, he would rise early in the morning to offer a burnt sacrifice for each of them, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." He did this regularly, for he wished to keep them under God's favor. But then tragedy struck. One day, something extraordinary happened in the heavens. The angels gathered before the Eternal, each ready to give an account of their duties. But among them was an unexpected visitor, the accuser himself, Satan. He walked in with the others, standing before the Lord. The Eternal looked at him and asked, "Where have you been?" Satan smirked and replied, "I have been roaming the earth, watching everything that happens." The Lord nodded and said, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one like him, honest, true to his word, completely devoted to God and a hater of evil." Satan scoffed, folding his arms. "Oh, really? You think Job is faithful just out of the goodness of his heart? No one is that righteous. You pamper him like a child. You protect him, his family, and his wealth. Everything he touches turns to gold because you bless him. But take it all away and see what happens. I guarantee you, he will curse you to your face." The Lord listened and then calmly responded, "Very well then, we shall see. Do what you want with everything he has, but do not lay a hand on him." And with that, Satan left, eager to put Job's faith to the test. There are moments in life when everything seems perfect, when blessings surround us and we feel secure. But what happens when everything is taken away? Will we still stand strong in faith? One fateful day, while Job's children were feasting at his eldest son's house, a servant came running, panic in his eyes. "Master, the oxen were plowing, the donkeys grazing nearby, when the Sabaeans attacked. They stole the animals and killed the servants. I alone escaped to tell you." Before he could even process this news, another servant arrived, breathless. Fire from God fell from the heavens. It burned the sheep and the servants. "I alone escaped to tell you." His heart pounded. What was happening? But there was no time to think, for yet another messenger arrived. The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties. They stole your camels and killed the servants. I alone escaped to tell you. He barely had time to catch his breath when the final blow came. "Master, your sons and daughters, they were feasting when a mighty wind swept in from the desert. It struck the house. It collapsed on them. They are all dead. I alone escaped to tell you." Silence. His world crumbled before him. Job fell to the ground in despair. He tore his robe and shaved his head, mourning the unbearable loss. And yet, through his anguish, he spoke these words, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will return to the bosom of the earth. The Eternal gives, the Eternal takes away. May the name of God be praised forever." Despite his suffering, Job did not sin. He did not blame God. Time passed, and once again, the angels gathered before the Eternal to give an account of their duties. And just like before, Satan appeared among them. The Eternal turned to him and asked, "And you, where have you been?" Satan smirked and answered, "I've been everywhere, roaming the earth, observing how things are going." The Eternal replied, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one like him. He is honest, true to his word, completely devoted to God, and he hates evil. Even after all he has lost, he remains faithful. You tried to destroy him, but you failed." But Satan wasn't convinced. He laughed and said, "A man will do anything to save his own life. But what if you take away his health? Surely then, he will curse you to your face. The Eternal looked at Satan and said, "Very well, then, do what you want to him, but do not take his life." And so, Satan left, ready to inflict more suffering upon Job. Not long after, Job was struck by a terrible disease. Painful sores covered his body from head to toe. The agony was unbearable. His skin burned, his body ached, and the only relief he could find was scraping his sores with a piece of broken pottery, while sitting in ashes. Seeing his suffering, Job's wife couldn't bear it anymore. She looked at him and cried out, "And you still maintain your integrity. Curse God and end it at once." But Job, though weak and in pain, refused. He turned to his wife and said, "You don't know what you're talking about. Have you lost your mind, woman? We receive good things from God. Why should we not also accept bad things?" Even in his misery, Job did not sin. Word of Job's suffering spread, and soon 3 of his closest friends arrived to comfort him: Eliphaz from Teman, Bildad from Shuah, Zophar from Naamah. But when they saw Job from a distance, they were shocked. Their friend was unrecognizable. His body was frail, his skin covered in sores, his face filled with sorrow. Overcome with grief, they wept, tore their clothes, and threw dirt on their heads to express their pain. For 7 days and 7 nights, they sat beside him in silence. No one spoke a word. They saw Job's suffering was too great for words. Job breaks the silence and cries out in despair. Finally, after days of silence, Job could no longer hold back his grief. He lifted his voice and cursed the day he was born. "Blot out the day I was born. Forget the night I was conceived. Let that day be turned into darkness. Let God above forget what happened. Blot out of the books. Let the darkest darkness overtake the day of my birth. Let it be shrouded in mist and swallowed by night. Why was I even born? Why did I not die at birth? Why was I held in arms and fed at my mother's breast? If only I could have rested in peace, sleeping forever without pain." His cries were filled with sorrow and hopelessness. Does God care about giving birth to wretched? Why does he allow a person full of bitterness to live? Instead of food, only tears come to me. Instead of water to drink, I am served groans of anguish. My worst fears have come true. My rest is disturbed. My peace is destroyed. There is no relief, only suffering. After hearing Job's cries, his friend Eliphaz finally broke the silence. "Would you mind if I said something? It is difficult to stay quiet in such circumstances. You yourself have encouraged so many, Job. You have given strength to the weak, hope to those on the verge of giving up. But now that it is you are discouraged. Now that you are struck, you are distressed. Shouldn't your godly life give you confidence? Shouldn't your righteousness give you hope?" Eliphaz went on, but his words were not the comfort Job needed. Instead, they cut deep. "Think, Job, has any truly innocent person ever ended in misfortune? Has any truly upright person ever been lost in the end? Those who cultivate evil reap exactly that. One breath of God, and they fall. One blast of his wrath, and they are gone." Job sat in silence, listening to his friend's harsh words. "If I were you, I would run to God and throw myself into his arms of mercy." Eliphaz believed Job was suffering because of sin, but Job knew his heart. He had done nothing to deserve this, yet his suffering continued. Have you ever felt like everything was falling apart? Like no matter what you did, hardship just kept knocking at your door? What if I told you that even in the darkest moments, there is a purpose, a lesson, and even healing? God corrects. Take heed. Do not despise the discipline of the Almighty. True, he wounds, but he also binds up the wound. He bruises, but his hand also heals. Job 5 verses 17 to 18. Job was a man of great faith, but his life took a tragic turn. One disaster after another struck him. Yet, no matter what calamity came his way, Job held on to one truth. Evil would not reach him without God's knowledge. In times of trouble, Job believed that famine would not overtake him, war would not pierce him with the sword, and even gossip would not harm him. He trusted that in the face of catastrophe, he would not be shaken. He would walk fearlessly among wild animals, get along with nature, and his place on earth would be secure. He looked at his life and saw no lack. His children flourished, his home was blessed, and he lived like golden grain, ripening in its due season. But then, everything changed. Job's suffering begins. Job cried out, "If my affliction could be weighed, if I could pile up all the bitterness I feel, it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. No wonder I cry out like a beast going to slaughter." Job 6 verses 2 to 3. The arrows of the Almighty struck Job, and he felt the full weight of suffering. He was overwhelmed. Have you ever felt like that? Like everything was too much to bear? Job had lost everything, his wealth, his children, and even his health. His body was covered in sores, his stomach was upset, and he could no longer eat. His suffering was so deep that all he wanted was relief. All I wanted for God to crush me and finish me off once and for all. At least then, I would have a satisfaction of knowing I did not blaspheme him. Job 6 verses 9 to 10. Yet, Job still clung to some hope, but his strength was fading. Where's the strength to keep my hope alive? What future do I have? Do you think I am made of iron? Do you think I can stand by myself? Job 6 verses 11 to 12. Job's friends respond. Job had friends, but instead of comforting him, they judged him. Someone desperate for friends should be supported, even if he gives up trusting in the Almighty. But my brothers are like streams in the desert. One day, they're filled with water, but by midsummer, they're dry. Job 6 verses 14 to 15. He compared them to travelers searching for water in the desert, finding only a dry hole and dying of thirst. His friends had done nothing to help him. You see my plight, and all you do is cringe in fear. Job 6 verse 21. Had Job asked them for anything? No, he had begged for nothing. So why were they full of empty words? If you know so much, tell the truth. The truth may hurt, but do you have the courage to give me an honest answer? Job 6 verses 24 to 25. Instead of bringing comfort, his friends pointed fingers. Are people mere objects to you? Are friends like commodities? Look me in the eye would I lie to you. Job 6 verse 28. Job questions God. Isn't life a struggle? Isn't it like being a slave waiting for the end of the day? Job 7 verse 1. Job felt abandoned. His nights were long and filled with tossing and turning. His body was covered in sores. His days passed like the hands of a skilled weaver, moving quickly toward the end. God, do not forget that I am but a breath. These eyes have seen goodness for the last time. Job 7 verse 7. He saw himself as a cloud that vanishes, never to return. Those who go to the grave never return to their family or friends. And so I will not keep silent. I will speak out loud and clear my complaint against heaven. Job 7 verse 11. Even as he lay in bed, hoping for rest, nightmares came to haunt him. I would rather be hanged and die than go on like this. Job 7 verse 15. His suffering was unbearable, and he questioned why God paid so much attention to mortal men. Why do you come every morning to see how they are? Will you never stop looking at me? Even for a moment, will you not leave me alone? Job 7 verses 17 to 18. Even if he had sinned, how could that hurt God? Why have I become your most important target? Job 7 verse 20. Job pleaded for God to forgive him, for soon he would be gone. Then his friend Bildad spoke up. How long will you keep talking like this? You are talking nonsense. Does God make mistakes? Job 8 verses 1 to 3. Bildad suggested that Job's children must have sinned, and that's why they suffered. If you are as innocent and righteous as you say, it is not too late. Kneel before the Almighty. He will restore everything, and you will be better off than ever before. Job 8 verses 5 to 7. Bildad encouraged Job to look at the wisdom of the past, to learn from the ancestors. Can mango trees grow without soil? Can delicious tomatoes exist without water? Job 8 verse 11. He compared the wicked to fragile spiderwebs. One shake, and the thread breaks. Job 8 verse 14. But Job was not convinced. Where is he? I do not see him. Yet his presence is real. He moves in silence, unseen but powerful. If he takes something, who can stop him? Who can question his ways? When he is angry, even the greatest and most fearsome creatures cower before him. So how can I, a mere man, argue with him? How can I present my case before God? Even if I were innocent, I could never argue. I can only throw myself at his feet and beg for mercy. Even if I called out to him and he answered me, would he believe my words? No, my suffering only increases. I am tossed about. My wounds multiply without reason. I cannot even run away. There is no escape. And for what? Just so the world may see that he is stronger. He plays with me, as if to humiliate me. Even if I am innocent, my own word betray me. If I defend myself, I am condemned. If I stay silent, my heart breaks. What is the point of life? It is all the same. Good or evil, we all meet the same fate. He allows calamity to strike both the honest and the wicked. He lets the unjust rule over the land, judges who do not know right from wrong. If he is not responsible, then who is? Job looks up at the sky, desperation in his eyes. My time is short. My days slip away like a swift ship, like an eagle diving for its prey. Even if I try to ignore it all, even if I force a smile, the pain eats away at me inside. There is no peace. There is no relief. I am already declared guilty. What good is it to protest? Even if I scrub myself clean, wash with the purest soap, he would still throw me into the pit. I would be buried in filth. God is not a man like me. I cannot take him to court. If only there was someone, an arbitrator, to mediate, to break this grip of terror upon me. If only I could breathe again, then I would speak, then I would present my case. But as things stand, I have no hope. I can no longer bear this life. So I will let it all out. I will not hold back my complaints, my bitterness. I will speak the truth of my heart. He raises his hands, pleading, God, do not declare me guilty without telling me why. You created me. You molded me with your hands. So why do you make me suffer? Do you reject the ones you have formed while blessing the wicked? Do you see as mortals do? Do you judge by appearances? You have eternity before you. So why do you search for guilt in me, as if I were a criminal? You made me from clay. Now you will grind me to dust? You formed me in the womb, knit me together with bones and sinew, gave me breath and life. Your love surrounded me, but you never told me this would happen. You never warned me of this suffering. His voice falters, tears welling up in his eyes. If I am guilty, I am lost. But if I am innocent, I am still lost. Bitterness overwhelms me. Grief swallows me whole. You are too strong for me, relentless like a lion hunting its prey. It is impossible to escape. Job clenches his fists, his voice breaking. Why did you let me be born? I wish I had never lived. I wish I had never breathed. Couldn't I just end this now? Could you not grant me a moment of peace before I die? Before I disappear into the land of darkness, the place where no light ever shines. Zophar, enough of this endless talk. Isn't it time for your words to stop? Should we remain silent while you speak without restraint? Do you think your complaints will go unanswered? Do you think we will allow your insults to go unchallenged? You claim your doctrine is pure, that your conduct is blameless. Oh, if only God would speak. If only he would show you true wisdom. Then you would see your punishment is less than you deserve. Do you really think you can understand the mysteries of God? Do you think you can grasp the vastness of the Almighty? He is higher than the heavens, deeper than the depths of the earth. He sees through every lie, recognizes every evil from a distance. No one deceives him. But listen to me. If you truly open your heart, if you stretch out your hands to him, if you turn away from sin, then you will stand tall, free of shame. You will walk without fear. Your troubles will fade into distant memories. The light of dawn will rise upon you, and every shadow will be chased away. Hope will return. Peace will be yours. But the wicked, they have no future. They will disappear into darkness. Jobs, you speak as though you are wise, as if when you die, wisdom itself will vanish. But I understand these things too. I am not inferior to you. Yet I, the one who once spoke with God, am now ridiculed. My friends mock me. The righteous man who never did wrong is laughed at. The wicked live in safety. They mock God, yet they prosper. But ask the animals, and they will tell you. Ask the birds of the sky, the fish in the sea, the very earth itself. They all know the truth. that everything is in God's hands. True wisdom and power belong to God. He lifts up and tears down. He grants wisdom and takes it away. He strips kings of their robes and binds them in rags. He makes nations rise and fall. He holds all things in his hands. He takes away the wisdom of rulers, leaving them to wander through aimless lands. They grope in the dark, staggering like drunkards. Yes, I have seen with my own eyes, I have heard with my own ears, and I have understood it all. Everything you know, I know too. Therefore, I am not inferior to any of you. I will present my case directly to the Almighty. Now I will appeal to God. I have already presented it to you. Yet what have you done? You have humiliated me with lies. You are a bunch of charlatans, worthless. If only you would keep quiet, you would show wisdom. Listen now as I present my case. Consider my point of view. Or are you going to continue lying in the name of God, making up stories to defend him? Why do you take sides with him? Do you think he needs a defense attorney? What would happen if you were in the dock? Your lies might convince a jury, but what about God? He would intervene immediately if he discovered bias in your testimony. Does not his splendor make you panic? Are you not afraid to lie so blatantly before God? Your statements are empty wisdom that belongs in the gutter. So hold your tongue while I speak. I am prepared for any and all consequences. But why do I always get into trouble when I try to take charge of my life? Even if he kills me, I will still trust in him. Yet, I will defend my innocence to the end. Just wait and see my defense. If I were truly guilty, would I be doing this? Would a wicked person have the courage to stand before God? Pay attention to what I say. Listen carefully with both ears wide open. Now that I have presented my defense, I am sure I will be acquitted. Can anyone prove the charges against me? If so, I will keep quiet and may die. Verse. Please, God, I have 2 requests, grant them, and I will know I can count on you. First, take away my afflictions, for the terror is too much. Second, speak directly to me so that I can answer, or let me speak, and you will answer me. How many sins have been recorded against me? Show me what wrong I have done. Why do you hide and remain silent? Why do you treat me as an enemy? Why do you kick me like an old tin can? Like a dead dog? I know you have a long list of my mistakes. Sins from my youth. You chain me so that I cannot move. You watch my every step. Man corrodes like rotting wood, like moth-eaten clothing. He is so fragile. Life is short and full of anguish, like a flower that blooms and soon withers, fleeting as a shadow from a passing cloud. So why do you waste your time on me, such an insignificant being? Why do you drag me to court? Do you expect anything from us? Man's life is so limited. You already know this. You have decided our lifespan. You have set the limits, and no one can cross them. Then give him a little rest until the appointed days are fulfilled. At least for a tree there is hope. Cut it down and it still has a chance. It will sprout again, even if its roots are old and twisted. As soon as it feels water, it comes back to life. But what about a human being? He dies and there is no turning back. He breathes his last, and everything is over. Just as the water in a lake evaporates and the riverbed dries up, so man lies down, never to rise again. Why do you not simply bury me and forget me for a while? Until your anger has subsided, set a time when you will remember me again. If a man dies, will he live again? Through all these difficult days, I keep waiting for the day when I will receive deliverance, longing for the Creator who made me. You will call to me, and I will answer. You will watch my steps, but you will not count how much I have erred. My sins will be tied up in a sack and thrown into the sea. They will sink to the ocean floor. But just as mountains crumble, as rocks shift, and as waters wear away stones, our hope is reduced to dust. You are too much for us. You always have the last word. Our faces bear the signs of our suffering. Yet you send us away anyway. Whether our children turn out well or badly, we never know. We only feel our own pain and mourn our suffering. Eliphaz the Temanite spoke again. If you were truly wise, you would not talk nonsense. You would not throw words to the wind, nor would you speak such foolishness in such a serious discussion as this. Look at you. You trivialize everything. You turn spiritual matters into idle talk. Your sin has taught you to speak this way. You have chosen to adopt the language of a scoundrel. Your words betray your guilt, not I. You yourself betray yourself. Do you think you are the first to face this? Were you born before the mountains? Were you there when God created everything? Do you think you know everything? What do you know that we don't? What discernment do you have that we lack? Gray beards and gray hair mean nothing. There are people older than your father on our side. Are God's promises not enough? Are our tender words not comforting? Why do you let your emotions control you? Do you have to go around kicking and spitting fire in rebellion against God? How can you let words like that come from your mouth? Do you think it is possible for a mere mortal to be blameless in God's eyes? How can a poor mortal think he is right? God does not even trust the angels. Not even the heavens are pure in his eyes. How much more so for humans? Filthy and corrupt, drinking wickedness like water. Job defended himself. I have heard more than I can bear. You are fake comforters. Does this nonsense never end? What is your problem? Why do you insist on this? If you were in my shoes, I could speak the same way, pour out sermons and force you to listen. But I would never do that. I would console, comfort, and try to make things better, not worse. When I speak, I don't feel better. If I keep quiet, it doesn't help either. I'm exhausted. God, you have destroyed me and my family. I am dry, just skin and bones. Your anger tears me apart. My enemies glare at me. People ridicule me, beat me, and God just lets them. I was minding my own business when God struck me. He grabbed me by the neck and threw me from side to side. He made me his target. Surrounded by archers, I am wounded, and my blood stains the ground. He has destroyed me again and again, fallen upon me like a warrior. O earth, do not hide the evil done to me. Do not stifle my protest. There is one in heaven who knows the truth, an advocate who can clear my name, my protector, my friend. While I weep before God, he defends me like a friend pleads for another. But there are only a few years left before I take the path of no return. How much longer must I endure them? Oh God, I need your help. I need your assurance. You are the only one who can give it. These people offer me no support. You know how cruel and irrational they can be. Please, do not let them triumph over me. Those who betray their own friends only teach wickedness to their children. God, you have made me a target for their ridicule, and they spit in my face. My vision is blurred from endless tears, and my body is nothing but skin and bones. The righteous cannot believe what they see, and the good-hearted think I've turned away from you. But those who stay true to their principles stand firm, and those with clean hands grow stronger. Do you still have something to say? Do you want to try again? So far, I've found no wisdom in your words. My life is nearing its end. All my plans have crumbled, and my hope is gone. You say that night will turn to day and dawn is about to break. But what hope remains when the grave is my only future? If my comfort lies only in the dust, and if worms will be my companions, how can you speak of hope? Hope will be buried with me. We will rest together in the ground. At this point, Bildad the Shuhite spoke up. Let's stop playing with words and speak honestly. Be reasonable, and we can have a real conversation. Why do you treat your friends like they're ignorant? Do you look at us as if we know nothing? Why do you think so highly of yourself? Should the whole world change to accommodate you? The truth is simple. The light of the wicked goes out. Their brightness fades and is extinguished. Their homes grow dark, and the lamp of their life is snuffed out. Their strong steps become shaky, and they stumble into their own traps. They are caught in the snares they set, and they fall into the pits they dug for themselves. Terror surrounds them on every side, and they flee from affliction. Misfortune waits to seize them. They are torn from the comfort of their homes, and taken straight to the place of death. Their lives vanish like smoke, and fire and destruction consume what remains. Their roots rot, and their branches wither. They leave no legacy behind, no name, no descendants. They are cast out of light into darkness and banished from the world. From east to west, people are horrified by their end. See, this is the fate of the wicked. This is the destiny of those who turn away from God. Moral: this story reminds us of the importance of staying true to our faith and principles, even when faced with hardship and misunderstanding. It teaches us that righteousness and integrity will ultimately stand firm, while those who choose wickedness and betrayal will face their own downfall. In times of despair, hope and trust in God offer the only true comfort and strength.